so cool with this beard, right? Like Johnny Depp. I'm looking like Johnny Depp. Do you think I'm looking like Johnny Depp? Do you think I'm looking like Johnny Depp?
Hi guys from Canada. Today I'm gonna blow your mind completely. It would be one of really the best videos you ever seen on audio production. But before we start, you have an opportunity to attend one class for free of one of the most mind-blowing audio production courses. You will be connected to a real class with my current students who are taking this course right now to view how we study, and then you can decide. Imagine the course like a gem you didn't expect to find. You will be not this like little guy among these big guys, plugin manufacturers, equipment manufacturers. You're gonna be the next level audio engineer who's supposed to be higher than all these guys. They actually commonly bullshit you to make their own theory to sell you a plugin. So you don't become a guru of audio production, you remain at the same level and you go like, what's the best compressor in 2023? My course is designed to give you an opportunity not to be like this. I teach you the critical thinking approach, how to make the best decision what your song really needs. I train your ability to hear, and we bust a lot of myths of audio production world. And we cover pretty all subjects of audio engineering. I even check your homework checking session in real time, where I show your real settings and explain in every aspect. Use this video as an example how I think and how I explain. But don't forget, I put only 10% of the power of my course in my videos, because of course I'm supposed to keep 90% of the power of my course for my students. Then get one free trial class to see those 90% of the power of my course. It's 9 months course, in real time, with convenient monthly payments. The information about me, my course and 250 reviews you can find in the first pinned comment or in the description. But the point is, I don't convince you by words. You need to see my course by yourself. Don't waste your time, just ask me about my course details and when exactly you can attend one free trial class in emails I provided in the first pinned comment or in the description, and get one class for free. I'm really happy for you guys, because you're gonna see one of the really cool video today, and it potentially can change your mind about audio production completely. Okay, let's choose 2 instruments in the mix, and let's compare how typical mixer thinks about this and how very top-end professional audio engineer thinks about this. I chose the harmonic instrument, guitar or piano as our first instrument, and kick drum as our second instrument. So this is how typical mixer thinks. So how this kick is being mixed by all these famous audio engineers? In this way, you think about the preset for your kick drum or piano. You never think what your instrument is made of, ingredients of your instrument. Secondly, you don't think how your equalizer processing for your kick drum and how saturation for your kick drum will affect the other instruments in the mix. You just think about kick tone by itself. And this is how a professional audio engineer would think about this. Guitar, it's a harmonic instrument which has fundamental tone roughly around 100 and 200 Hz. This is kick in, this is kick out, and kicks up together. So fundamental tone of this kick drum is roughly around 50 cycles. A lot of amateurs, they know to make kick drum more bold and more powerful, you boost the fundamental tone of the kick drum something around like 50 cycles, 60 cycles. Professional audio engineer would instantly think your filter anyway influences the range of upper bass between 100 cycles and 200 cycles. And in this area, kick drum has second harmonic, third harmonic. You're gonna boost those overtones on the kick drum. Parts of the kick drum will overlap your piano's most important frequencies, which are called the fundamental tone. And your guitar is a 3-note course in this case, which means you have 3 fundamental tones. And all these fundamental tones will be masked by the kick's drum harmonics. Crazy, right? So most people just listen to the kick drum and they just think, oh, if kick sounds better or not. But you need to think about masking effects. Maybe I don't need to boost any lows on the kick drum, you know what I mean? It's really important to really decide what kind of filter I will use for this kick drum, you know? How about phase shift? Thirdly, are you sure you really hear this low boost? Because let's be honest, you probably never think about standing waves in your studio. You blindly believe that your corner bass traps, even made of fiberglass or something like super chunks, you believe they are okay to make your studio sound right. In fact, in studios, pretty nobody can control frequencies from 40 to 60 cycles. Even those diaphragmic absorbers or active bass traps sometimes completely suck in controlling this like very low end. So when you boost some lows, there is no guarantees you really hear the proper amount of the low end. The question is what you're gonna do with this. It's a big myth actually that you can control those frequencies from 30 to 60 with some acoustic treatment in your room. I explained these myths on the very first 2-3 months of my course, where we have this topic called studio setup. Each class has like 80% of time dedicated to mixing and mastering, and last 20% of each class dedicated to studio setup. So we cover all these myths and we bust all these myths. The professional audio engineer will ask next very important question. What tools do I use in terms of saturation? And if by no reason I'm gonna really exaggerate the second and third harmonic of the kick to mask the fundamental tones of the electric guitar or electronic piano or synthesizer. This kick drum has second harmonic roughly around 100 cycles. If you use something colorful like this Pultec equalizer, do you know what harmonics this equalizer exaggerates the most? Frequency around 150 will be especially exaggerated not only because of your curve, but because of equalizer itself. If kick drum tends to sound all the time, like kick, 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 above the chords of your guitar or piano chords, you automatically will have more problem around upper bass. Let's be honest, no amateur mixers think about this. What? But if you change your Pultec plugin, like this Softtube with Pultec plugin, this Pultec clone actually has different coloration and it boosts those second and third harmonic much less and boosting actually fourth harmonic. Which means if you apply this plugin on your kick drum, your piano or guitar will remain clearer. Did you know about this? Let's be honest, how many people really think about this in this way? If you apply a compressor always exaggerates some harmonics. So the question will be, what compressor you would use on your kick drum, not to create this masking effect for the guitar? Have you ever thought about this? But I'm really into all these famous mixing engineers. Chris Rodelgi, he always cut 500 cycles on a kick drum, I'm gonna repeat after him because who knows better than Chris Rodelgi, right? No, not right. Actually, I'm not gonna cut 500 cycles on this kick. I'm gonna cut 150 cycles on this kick to give more space for the guitar. So guitar's fundamental tone will cut through the mix at 150, where kick drum has extensive second and third harmonic. But guitar will sound amazing, and kick drum will sound good as well. Now guitar is masked. Like boxier sound and not so clear. I made this cut around upper bass on this kick drum. Guitar instantly becomes more transparent. But kick drum sounds thinner. A bit of fundamental tone for the kick drum to be like bigger and bolder. Now kick drum has proper bottom end, but it doesn't mask the guitar. But kick drum actually loses the punch, it doesn't have enough click in upper mid-range, so you don't hear this articulation of the kick drum where exactly kick drum plays. That's why I boost additionally upper mid-range on this kick over here. We need to make kick drum a bit more focused and a bit more cutting through the mix. I apply this SSL channel compressor with just 3 decibels of compression to make sure that kick drum sounds great. Nice. It's actually very big difference if you know what to listen to and if you have proper monitoring. This is what I address at my course as well. To make sure you have proper monitoring, you are not misled by all this acoustics treatment bullshit, and I train your ability to hear, and you start to hear all these micro differences. All these principles go not only for the guitar music. I'm specialized in hip-hop and in electronic music and pop music as well. So absolutely the same principles will be related to, let's say, electronic synthesizer keys in comparison to the kick sample. This is the kick drum. This is a synthesized electronic piano. This is exactly the same effect as these acoustic drums and that electric guitar. Fourth principle, check it out, absolutely crazy. Actually, this plugin has a couple of mistakes. If you like, let me know in the main chat. I'm gonna make a video how plugin manufacturers actually suck in making their plugins. They sometimes don't know very important principles they forget to emulate in all these plugins. Now, as you can see, this is fast attack mode, this is slow attack mode. I use slow attack mode on this kick drum. What it really means? Upper mid-range frequency fluctuations in the beginning, it's a shorter waveform, and then longer waveform in the tail, which is more like low end. When you apply a compressor with a long attack, this red curve, as you can see, is the threshold. This is a parameter on a compressor, right? So you put it like this. And long attack means during some period of time, for example, for 30 milliseconds in the beginning of a kick drum, compressor really only starts applying its compression, which means it almost doesn't apply compression yet. Which means you apply compression mostly to the tail of a kick drum, not to the beginning of a kick. So you make the beginning splash of the kick more prominent in comparison to how loud the tail is. Of course, kick drum becomes a bit quieter in the mix, so you normalize volume, and kick drum becomes louder like this. Eventually, what it really means, it means you exaggerate the punch in the beginning of a kick, and this punch in the beginning of a kick has upper mid-range rather than lows. What it really means, it means I make my kick drum more upper mid-rangey, but the guitar which we have in this mix also has upper mid-range articulation and definition. And the question is if this kick drum will start masking definition of the guitar just because of I want more definition of this kick. Crazy, right? I mean, just imagine. Oh, I applied this compressor because of this guy showed me this on YouTube. As a professional mixing engineer, you're gonna think, okay, yes, I'm gonna increase articulation of this kick drum and definition of the kick, but the question is if I'm gonna spoil articulation of the guitar because of this. It will be one of the most advanced audio production nuances you ever heard about. It's about how many times you hear kick in your song. If your kick drum sounds like this, kick, 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 you have only 2 kicks within 1 bar. Even if this kick drum tends to mask your guitar or electronic piano synthesizer, whatever, it's only 2 kicks per 1 bar. But if your kick drum sounds like this, kick, 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 you have 5 times more kicks during 1 bar. Which means you're gonna hear this exaggerated upper mid-range of the kick drum much more. And for this type of a song, you absolutely should not compress your kick drum like this. I always apply this, my favorite compressor on this kick drum. What are you talking about? It's my favorite compressor. I saw it in this famous audio engineer video. He applied this compressor all the time. Sorry, mate. But you should really think about particular song, not some preset of some famous guy. I showed you only 4 principles. I teach hundreds of these principles at my course to my students. I don't teach you tricks. I teach you professional approaches. What's the right thing for your mix without any copying of somebody and their settings. Their settings usually not suitable for your mix. Instead, I teach you critical thinking approach, which provides the best solution for your particular mix. And one of the coolest things, you wake up in the morning knowing that you know better than nobody else in the world what really will be working for your mix. So I think to get the best sound in the world, you just need to kind of like go after somebody famous, somebody like most known, and you're gonna get the best mix, right? Because you just like learn from the best, right? No, it's absolutely not right. Because approach of some famous guy depends on 3 factors which you absolutely cannot replicate. Factor number 1. Their settings and final setup for all the processing they apply for the kick drum is suitable for their kick drum, not for your kick drum. Because your kick drum is made of different ingredients and sound different. Their final settings on a kick drum will be depending on not only how this kick drum goes together with other instruments, which obviously in your song you don't have the same other instruments, but also depending on how this kick drum will be processed in the future steps of the mixer you use in DAW. For example, you try to copy equalization curve of some famous audio engineer for the kick drum. Their kick drum will be processed after the EQ by some special compressor, which you don't have, and by the master bus compressor, which processes the whole song on the master bus, which you also don't have, or at least you don't have the same exact master bus compressor with exactly the same settings. Maybe their compressor has long attack, which exaggerates this like punch, a click in the beginning of a kick drum. So their kick drums becomes more like punchy, more like clicky, you know what I mean? And even their master bus compressors make, let's say, their kick more clicky and more prominent in upper mid. You may not have this type of compressor at all for the kick, and not exactly the same compressor for the whole song, which is called master bus compressor. So the amount of this famous audio engineer applied on the kick drum could be much less than you need and at much different frequency than you need. When you apply your own equalizer, considering how it will be sounding under the other compressor and under other master bus compressor, you may need much more boost and even maybe at absolutely different frequency. Copying somebody will never work for you. It will work for you if you don't hear anything, you don't improve your monitoring, you don't improve your skills, and you just into new plugins day by day, year by year. You remain at the same level, and you don't even hear too much difference, and you think it works good for you. I teach you absolutely opposite, to see the truth, what really your mix needs. I teach you how to find out what's the most suitable to your sound, not to plugin manufacturer wallet. You know what I mean? But I use exactly the same tools like this famous audio engineer. I have the same EQs, the same compressors, I invested in all these plugins. They all say it's authentic emulations, it's real tools of those real analog studios. It's one of the biggest myths of audio production world. In fact, I bust all these plugins at my course and I show real mistakes on all these plugins and how they are really different from all these classic equalizers, compressors, analog bus, emulations, and preamplifiers. Even your sample rate in your DAW can cause aliasing, which completely change the tone of your processor. And in analog world, there is no aliasing. YouTube is saturated by all these comparisons of real tools versus some digital emulations which sound like they claim identical. Just because of you don't hear the difference doesn't mean there is no difference. Just because of you don't see other planets in space, it doesn't mean there is no planets. Plus YouTube data compression, which minimizes the ability of you to hear all those micro differences, we still don't know if you really have ability to hear and you have trained ears. We don't know if you have amazing proper monitoring in your studio. And we still don't know that in some examples and some situations, difference demonstration can be more prominent, while the same comparison in the other case could be much more prominent. But you know what I mean? Who cares about 2010? It's like Middle Ages, you know what I mean? People was burning other people on fires because they believed in space in 2010, you know what I mean? I believe that best plugins provide the best quality for your mix if you just make sure your new plugins up to date. It's all about like what's the best plugin in 2023. And no, my saliva doesn't running on my cheek, sorry. You should understand how the market functioning. Market has the only one goal, to sell you something to make money. They would do everything possible to invent some theory which looks almost like realistic theory to sell you a plugin. You remain at the same level, you're wasting your time, and you're just waiting for another wow plugin. A professional mixer chooses a tool which allows you to implement a task, not what's the best plugin in 2023. Remember guys, you either at the same level year by year, or start thinking critically and attend one class for free with my students who are taking this course right now to see exactly how we study. This course can be absolute game changer for you. And by game changer, I don't mean these commercial statements, game changer. I mean the real game changer. Check it out. First pin comment or in the description with email how to contact me.